We are going to start. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Mansi from Homeopathy 360. And today I am very happy to say that we don't have just only one passionate homeopath, we have two homeopaths from Mumbai. A very warm welcome to Dr. Preety Shah and Dr. Prajakta Vaidya. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining Homeopathy 360 platform, for giving your valuable time, and we are going to learn so much today from both of you. First of all, let's have a quick introduction of Dr. Preety Shah, ma'am. Dr. Preety Shah, BHMS FHPC, comes with over 15 years of practice out of Mumbai. Together with her whole Together with her soul sister, Dr. Prajakta Vaidya, she has founded a holistic homeopathic clinic. Healing Harmony created a unique and loving community for homeopaths called Homeopathy Musings and conducts wellness retreats called Karvaan. Dr. Preeti has completed her BHMS with a gold medalist and was fortunate to complete her fellowship in homeopathy psychiatry in the direct physical presence of Master Dr. Mahesh Gandhi, which is very appreciable, ma'am. She is applicant of Dr. Rajan Sanskaran flagship Gurukul program. She is amongst the very few young generation homeopaths who has been invited to teach by various prestigious organizations with the homeopathic world, both nationally and internationally. Along Along with Dr. Prajakta, she has also led and published credible provings on scalap and leg macropoli. They recently completed a proving of murex, which included participants from India and Australia. She is currently she is currently under compilation. She is currently working on their first book about the mollusk remedies, which is due to be published soon. That's really appreciable, ma'am. And now we have Dr. Prajakta Vaidya introduction. Dr. Prajakta ma'am comes with over 15 years of practice out of Mumbai too, and she has founded a holistic homeopathic clinic, same as her Dr. Preety Shah, with that is Healing Harmony. She did her homeopathic education from Yerela Medical College and further pursued her MD in homeopathic medicine. She has always reversed, honored, and admired Dr. Rajan Sanskaran sir and Dr. Mahesh Gandhi sir as her chief teachers and source of inspiration. She is an apprentice of Dr. Rajan Sanskaran's flagship Gurukul program. She has also been personally trained by Dr. Rajan Sanskaran in the wise processes and has been supporting him in his wise retreats as a facilitator. She is amongst the very few young generation homeopaths who has been invited to teach by various prestigious organizations, same as her soul sister, Dr. Preety Shah. So, ma'am, both of you are very passionate homeopaths we have founded from Mumbai, and we are really inspired by both of you. So, ma'am, today we are going to learn about homeopathy and we are going to learn about case taking. Can you please share your goal, your purpose choosing behind this topic?
Well, I think everything begins with case taking, right? So the pillar of homeopathy and the success of healing a patient starts with case taking. And
Yes,
hence, this is one of the most important topics that we need to learn, master, and refine our skills through practice. And hence this topic, because we think it's very essential, and that's where most homeopaths struggle the most.
yes, ma'am. That's a really important topic that we should learn. And so, ma'am, we are just waiting for gaining such incredible knowledge from both of you. This platform is all yours. Please share your experience, ma'am.
All
Please
right,
start
so
the session.
perfect. Then thank you for the warm introduction and very kind words. And I am very, very delighted, and I'm sure Prajakta is too, to come here and share our experience with all of you. Um, Thank you for all the incredible work that you are doing, Dr. Mansi, along with the whole team. I'm sure it takes a village to run the show, so I'm sure it's incredible teamwork that goes on behind Homeopathy 360. So, case taking, yeah. So, I think from the first year of college, this has been stressed upon. And it seems to be more of a philosophical topic, but it isn't, right? It's our day to day practical thing that we have to do in our clinic, right? It's not only philosophical, it's not only artistic, but it's also very, very scientific. And we have clear instructions in the organon of medicines from aphorism 83 to 104 on case taking. And what is the goal or objective of case taking? The goal and objective of the case taking is that at the end of this case taking process, we are able to individualize our patient. The whole idea of case taking is, and the whole beauty of homeopathy is in the idea of individualization. That's the main principle, isn't it? How do we find what is individualistic in this patient, and how do I match it with a similar individualistic remedy? Yeah, and when this individualistic pattern, this central idea of our patient, which is very individualistic to this patient, matches with the central idea of our remedy, which is very similar, very individualistic, that's when healing occurs. That's the process of cure. And that's the objective of case taking, right? So the idea is that as homeopaths, as healers, we are not simply collecting symptoms. Yeah, we're not just collecting symptoms randomly, putting them in the repertory. Now we have all these fancy softwares. We are not just doing it robotically. Yeah, it's not just randomly collecting symptoms, but artistically and scientifically taking our patients into the deeper realms of their perceptions of illness. Yeah, it's a journey that we take as homeopaths along with our patients into the self inquiry, into the discovery of our patients, into what their disease patterns are. At the end of the case taking, our patients also need to feel transformed. Our patients need to evolve. Our patients need to understand themselves a little bit better, needs to understand what their obstacles of cure are, right? So the objective also is not only for us to come to a particular remedy, pulsatilla, arsenic, or whatever, but also to help our patients become more aware, make them a party on their journey of cure, right? So the homeopath ideally needs to aim to find the fundamental perception underlying the feelings, underlying the symptoms, underlying the patient's experiences that he or she is going through. And this understanding, if we are able to decipher through the process of case taking, we are able to find a very deep acting remedy, and also, we are helping our patients to become more aware of themselves, their perceptions, and their causation of symptoms. Yeah. So, every homeopath, every school of homeopathy has their own different styles of case taking. And this different style of case taking depends on who we are as person, right? I mean, different styles suit different people. Yeah. Also, it differs from whom we are treating, right? Your case taking has to be different for a child. Your case taking perhaps will be a little different if you're treating a severe pathological condition. Or case taking is going to be completely different if it's a patient in coma or if you're treating pets. So the idea is that one is who you are as a person, what suits your personality, what you're trained in, what school of homeopathy you come from. But it also differs and needs to be driven by who your patient is and what he or she needs. So, the stress or the point that I'm trying to drive here is that your case taking approach needs to be patient centered. That means you need to be equipped with different styles of case taking so that you can then allow your patient to be in the driver's seat. Yeah. And when does the case taking begin? It really begins even before the patient meets you. It's not only, oh, tell me what your complaint are. Not that at that point, but even before he books an appointment. Yeah. How did they call you? How did they talk to your staff? How did they behave in the waiting area? What did they do in the waiting area? How did they deal with payments? How did they talk to your assistants? Yeah. So it all varies, and it's so individualistic, and it's so beautiful if you keep an observation on all of this. Yeah. For example, a patient, let's say I can give you an example of this patient who I gave and who did beautifully with lachesis. So she was so rude, so snappy, so dominating with my assistant. But when she would come in my cabin, she would be the sweetest of person. She would shower me with compliments. She would be a completely different person. But as soon as she would go outside, and if she would speak to somebody junior, she would be a completely different person. And she would be so comfortable with these two sides of herself. There was no conflict. So there was a shadow self, a darker self, and she would carry it so beautifully with her sweet, charming, seductive, beautiful side. Yeah. So you have to be observant on how this happens. Also, it is important that when you meet your patient, for every patient, you have some sort of a case record form. What do I mean by a case record form? So generally, I mean, I put some links here. So if you go on our website, you will see there is an adult case record form and a child case record form. So what Prajakta and I would generally do is we would ask that the patient completes, they can download that form from our website, they fill it online, or they print it and fill it on paper, and bring that case record form before the consultation. Now, what advantages does that have? What it does, it jogs your patient's memory. It prepares them before they come to you. They know what to expect when they come to you. No? They know that when they come to the homeopath, even if their complaint is migraine, you're probably going to ask them about their hobbies and their cravings and their dreams, etc. So it lets them know, it sets the expectation. Yeah. It also gives you, it saves your time during case taking process per se. So a lot of information, which is just data driven, personal data, past history, family history, all of that you have beforehand with the patient. And then you don't have to spend a lot of time. Okay. So it's important that you spend some time and energy in developing some sort of a case record form for your clinic. Yeah. And include as many questions as possible that can help you in your case taking. For children, make sure you include the mother's history during pregnancy. Okay. So this is another important thing which helps your patients prepare, helps your patient organize themselves and come to you more prepared. Then what you do is when the patient comes to you, it's important that you take an overview of what's happening, who this person is, what is the problem, where is the problem, what is the pace of the problem, what is the depth of the problem. So you take like an overview, like a bird's eye view, you are scanning. So even before you go into the details of what the problem is, you know where to go, what to expect, what to ask. So first take a bird's eye view, zoom out. Who is this person? Where is the problem? Who has it? Yeah. So this is again a very, very crucial step before you dive in. Observation. This is so important. not just the words. Yeah, don't get trapped only with the words your patient is using. You need to see what is he trying to say in between the words, what is behind the words, what's the aura of the patient, what posture he's using, what hand gestures he's using, what is the undertone. Yeah, what is the undertone of how he's saying things. For example, I had once a patient who did very, very well with lacleolinum. Basically, it's a medicine which is made from the milk of lion. This patient, he had such an aura. He came, he sat, and he had his one leg pulled over the other. His arm was like this on the chair, and he spoke to me like this with an air of command. Yeah. So you see, he had a completely different aura. And there was another patient who received calcarea cough, who would, be so anxious, so nervous, who would be so nervous when he shook my hand. He couldn't even have a full handshake. Okay. And it was a very, very nervous handshake. So this aura, posture, how is he sitting, how he is talking is also something that you need to observe. It cannot happen if you're sitting with your laptop and just typing the symptoms and making sure that every word the patient says is being recorded. Yeah, so this is also another item to be taken care of. The next item is about the chief complaint. Now, that's what the patient has come to you for, right? So, obviously, you need to make sure that you explore the chief complaint. You understand the chief complaint in as much detail as possible. Understand fully, completely. No stone should be unturned. Yeah. So the location, the sensation, the exact modality, the exact concomitant, and it has to be exact. Yeah. So don't just be happy with, yeah, aggravation at night. What time at the night? Yeah, aggravated by lying down, but lying down how? On your back, on your abdomen, on your right side, on your left side? Very, very exact. Don't just take what he's telling on face value. Investigate, go deep, make sure you understand the chief complaint fully. And the same is true not just for chief complaint, but any associated complaints that they may have. So a patient may come to you for, let's say, hypertension, but he may have some corollary symptoms, right? He may have constipation, he may have something else. You need to make sure each of these complaints are fully explored in as much detail as possible. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. All right. This is a patient who came to us for anxiety and panic. Okay. And he said that his anxiety came on and off. Currently, it's much better because he's already taking some treatment from a psychiatrist. But he has to take these medicines before he feels better. He has to take these medicines if he has to go for a meeting. Sometimes in the middle of the night, he would have to wake up and pop a pill because he would feel a sort of a panic attack and he would not be able to sleep. He said that this anxiety started since his mother was ill. His mother was admitted in the hospital because of some stroke, some neurological illness, and she was in the ICU for a long time. And that time, when he was in the hospital nursing his mother, he started having these anxiety symptoms. He said any sad news, anybody in the ICU would pass away, if any ambulance siren would come, I would start feeling more and more anxious. And when I would feel anxious, I would become restless. I would run out of my breath. My heartbeat would go up and down, and I would have to keep walking. I used to fall back to allopathic medicines whenever I had this. Now, I had this information, and there are tons of homeopathic remedies we can already give based on this. However, when I say that we have to fully explore the chief complaint, I mean that you need to ask, what is the experience of this anxiety? Then he will say, oh, I can't be seated, I have to pace. The environment in the hospital, it was not good, it was very anxious, I felt something is wrong with my heart. So then you ask, what was the environment in the hospital? So then he says, you know what? Everybody in that hospital had some severe brain illness. They were all neurological patients, right? It was an ICU. It was also a COVID time. So it was at the epicenter of COVID, where every 15 minutes there would be an ambulance coming. Every 15 minutes, there would be a situation of life and death. And my mom was in that situation. So I was sitting there all the time, anticipating that anything can go wrong with my mother. I would sit there for all these days and I would, take my computer and I was working there. But the environment in the hospital was something that really affected me. So, what was that environment in the hospital? You go deep, you make sure you understand it fully. He said that my mom could succumb anytime. What was happening to the other patients in the hospital, it can happen to my mother. So he's anticipating, oh, now my news of my mother will come. Oh, now my mother will go undergo something wrong. So this anticipation is constantly anticipating, and that was the trigger of her anxiety. So if I would have left this on face value, I wouldn't have come to this very, very important piece of information that what triggered him was this constant anticipation. Oh, something can go wrong. Oh, something can go. Then you take it further. What was the experience to be there? He's like, if I would just sit there, it was life and death. I would close my eyes. I could relive that situation. That belief was that she won't survive. And I wanted her to get better. What was that experience of anxiety in your body? I felt pain on my left side. My breath was, I was running out of breath. I became very restless. I had to wake up in the night. I had to walk. I had this headache, so on and so forth. So you see, this is how every detail of that anxiety health about, anxiety health of the mother, that much is not enough. Every aspect of her anxiety, his anxiety, I had to take. So if you put every aspect of this anxiety and you put it in the repertoire, that his anxiety was in the heart region, his anxiety was accompanied by palpitation, his anxiety was when there was a death of a loved one. What happened along with anxiety? There was respiration difficult. What else? There was a fear that any time any bad news can come. What was the problem? That if he has this, something happens, something, will happen to his heart. He felt that something is wrong with my heart. Then, along with that anxiety, he had restlessness. He has to move about. So, everything, surprise aggravated, sad news aggravated, all of that, bad news aggravated. Once we put all of that in the repertoire, when you complete the totality, then I could give him gelsemium, and the patient did extremely well. So, what I'm trying to say here is that every detail of the anxiety you have to explore and you have to complete that picture. Yeah, I will invite Prajakta to share her experience of this another patient to drive the same message home.
Yeah, so she was a female of 29 years old, okay, and from a low socio-economic background. So not much, in details are available. Like when you're talking to her, she'll not maybe go deeper. But what is important for us is to find out what is the peculiarity, what are the peculiar symptoms, sensation, modalities, and concomitant from whatever is available that we can get. Okay, so she had the complaint of fibroadenoma, and they were like very, very, very painful. And she's been treated with a lot of other medicine and was advised the surgery for it, and she didn't want to go for it, right? But homeopathy, so one of our patient, she was working as a maid in her house, and she brought her. Okay, and she was very, very unaware of how homeopathy works or what do we require, in terms of her case is concerned. So at at her level, what can we get and what is the peculiarity that we can receive from that patient is our focus, right? So what she was talking about all the time was about her chief complaint. So if we take the exact symptoms, exact peculiar symptoms of that chief complaint and complete the totality, we will be able to have a substantial data on which we can prescribe, right? And certain things we look at from the other's perspective, like from the peripheral view. That is also important. So she mentioned that about the chief complaint, that she had tumors on the both the breast. Okay, and there was constant this sharp stinging pain which was there, constant, and the sensation was as if something is pulling from inside. Then during the when she's walking, when she's about to get her menses, or she's climbing down the stairs, or any movement, like even if she goes in, say, auto rickshaw and traveling, the pain will, suddenly with that jerk also the pain will come. Slight touch will also cause a pain. Night the pain will aggravate. And this pain was also radiating to the other parts. Okay. There was a lot of sensation of burning was there. And at time before the menses, there used to be mild itching also. So tender the breasts were that even if slightest movement can cause the pain to her. Okay. And this was something which completes the totality of that particular chief complaint. Then what is available? Yeah, Preeti, go next. What is available at the peripheral level? So she was from the social, in a situation where she was the one who was working lady, right? She was somebody who was very, very responsible. She was a widow, so she took all the responsibility at this age, and was working for the children to kind of take that responsibility and fulfill that responsibility. So this gives an understanding of that person. Now, whatever this, with this understanding and the repertorial data that we have, if we put that into our repertory, we see there are tumors, mammae, you see, then touch aggravate, menses before aggravation, motion aggravates, the pain aggravated at night, generalities motion after there is an modality, right? Then descending on aggravate, radiating pain. If you see, the first remedy which is coming up over here is the Cunayam maculatum. Okay, and it is from the family Umbelliferum. So with this understanding, if we cannot just give the Cunayam as a remedy, we have to understand if there are, her physical genitals, her nature, her fears, her hobbies, childhood, how was it for her, her sleep and dreams. With this whole understanding, we came to understand what is, will the Konayam suit for her. So what we understood that she was, very hardworking, working for almost 12 to 14 hours a day. She was a widow with children. She was not married because she thought that it is my responsibility of taking the children, taking care of the children, give them education. Her husband died of some complaint, but she did so much. He was bedridden, and she did so many things for him, worked hard for him, but he couldn't, save him. And what was her experience during that situation? That it was all sudden. This disease was so sudden, and it was so unexpected that it actually came as a blow for her. And in her dreams, what we found out, her dreams were very violent. She had these dreams of losing her children. So dreams, violent dreams related to the child. They're drowning as if somebody's killing, all those. And the dreams of snakes, right? So with this, what we get, the themes of Umbelliferae family, along with this sudden, unexpected kind of injury, as if a blow, right? So this completes the picture, the understanding of that patient as well as the chief complaint. And that is how we are very sure of this remedy. And then we prescribed her, and she really did very well. In fact, she took a treatment for a long time, right? She took a treatment for almost 2 years. And at the end of it, her the fibroadenomas were completely better. The pain was better. We didn't, currently she's not continuing on the medicines, but she is doing really very good. So the point here is not to just, focus in one direction, but also to take the peripheral vision. So Preeti, go ahead to see what,
Yeah, if
what
I
is
can just
available.
add one point here,
Hmm.
So we all know that Konam is a good remedy for tumors. Yeah. But if we just prescribe that, okay, a good remedy for tumor is Konam and prescribe on that, you cannot guarantee a result like this. It will be shooting, in the dark. And, if it has to work, it will work. What Prajakta showed here that even in the tumor, she completed the whole picture. Only aggravated motion was not even enough. Aggravated downward motion on descending. You see the level at which the exact rubric she picked up. And then she completed the picture through all of the physical, mental picture, generals, etc., etc. And then when Konam was given, that's when the real simillimum happened, and that's where the beauty lies.
Yeah. So, so that is how we have to understand the patient from all the perspective. Then the importance of the peripheral vision. So it is not just, taking or like noting down all the, repertorial symptoms or something which we already know, right? Like in the cases of anxiety, only if that we know, or in this case of tumors, not what just we know and recording them mechanically. Not just the, a very focused vision that, okay, this is present and then I have to prescribe on that. Okay. If you see something like, like in our practice, I've seen that patient was saying, I have, such a craving for sweets, and you can give me anytime, I can have it. And I want it also every, every meal I need it. But doctor, I don't have it. Because what if I get, any diabetes? What if I get something, very important, like very uncurable kind of a disease? So I don't want to, take it even if I like it, right? So this goes something beyond your cravings also. It shows that cautious or, apprehensive or anticipating nature of that person. So our vision has to be very broad so that we can see what is there behind these cravings also, or behind the expressions what we are seeing at the physical level, right? Also, if there are patients who are not talking, or, we say that the patient are not giving details only, doctor. So how we will take the case and prescribe? But we need to have ways out of it. We can maybe, talk to the attendants, to the relatives, that what is the nature, how are they reacting in the basic, in a challenging situation, what is their basic nature, how are they when there is some incidents or anything which is an, incident which is affecting them. So all that could also help, in our practice. Preeti, you want to talk about that patient of yours?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the feedback from the patient. So this is a case of a lady who was 54 years old and she was suffering from severe depression on tons of psychiatric medicines, and along with depression, there were several other complaints that she had. And when she came to us, she would not speak anything. She came to the clinic, she's sitting in front of me, and she's completely dull, drowsy, absent-minded. She's staring at one place and she's just lost. I ask her, kya takleef hai? What is your complaint? What is happening? And she would take a very long time to answer. How are you? I am okay. you know, very, very slow face, very, very dull, hardly speaking anything. So then I can't rely on a lot of information that she is saying through her mouth. However, I'm observing her. I'm seeing that she's staring. I'm seeing that she's dull. I'm saying that she's drowsy. And I take up all those symptoms. Then I speak with her husband. And her husband says that she's a very anxious person. She gets anxious on any trifles. Right now, my mother, like this patient's mother-in-law, that means the husband's mother, she's bedridden. So she's worried about that. Our child, one son is getting married, so she's worried about that child and how the wedding will go. And then other sons, is going to deliver a baby. So that baby, how are we going to manage? So she gets all worked up when there are so many things. She gets overwhelmed. She becomes almost hysterical, and it's very difficult to manage. In every little task, she needs support. She says that the patient's husband, he says that, we have one cook, we have three house helps. She basically has to do nothing, but she feels so overwhelmed that how am I going to manage any task? She's very, very slow, doctor. And many years back, when we got married, she used to also have these hysterical convulsions that, whenever we would have an argument or somebody says something mean, or, she gets very worked up, she would get seizures, but that would happen only when there is somebody present in front of her. It never happened, when she's alone or, any time like that. So this was also very important. So when we take all that, the observations from the patient, the history from the patient's husband, and I put it all together, Helleborus, sensitivity of the plant kingdom, the symptoms of ranunculaceae, it all came together. Yeah, Helleborus niger, it's also called black hellebore. What does Fatak says? Black, if you remember black, and you remember hell of Helleborus, and you put this black and hell together, you will never forget this entity. What does it mean? Everything is black, everything is dark, everything is, very dark for this patient. Everything is slow, everything is very severe. It's hell like. So, mentally, physically, convulsions, dropsy, all these severe complaints come with Helleborus. It's hell like. Yeah. And the patient did so beautifully. So, the history of the patient, the observations, and the attendant, what he or she is saying, gives us the idea of the remedy, and we are able to prescribe. We complete the whole picture. We take the symptoms, we put it in the repertory, we understand the concept, the creative side of our homeopathic materia medica, and when then we prescribe, it becomes very, very important. And what we should take in case taking, what we should take, we should not take craving sweet. There are 500 remedies in craving for sweet. So we have to avoid the temptation of taking symptoms or rubrics of lukewarm symptoms. एकदम ऐसे ही lukewarm symptoms को avoid करना है. PQRS, very striking. What is very important? That you have to take. Introverted, extroverted, all these are big, big rubrics. You cannot anger, aggravated, contradiction. You will have hundreds of remedies in that. If you only keep taking those symptoms, and if you don't take your patient deeper, if you don't individualize it further, you're going to come up with only those 10, 20 remedies that come up in the top chart of your repertory. Yeah. So avoid that temptation of relying only on these general, broad rubrics or symptoms. They are lukewarm symptoms. Try to find what is striking, what is peculiar. In this anger, aggravated contradiction, if you can find that this anger, aggravated contradiction is only at home, outside anybody says anything, contradicts him 100 times, he's fine. He's a mouse outside, and at home, anybody will say any little thing, he will become a lion. So, lion at home and mouse outside, that is peculiar, that is striking, you know. So, you have to go little deeper and not rely on these lukewarm, superficial symptoms. Find what is striking, what is characteristic, understand the patient. Yeah. So, and also during the case taking, it is important that we avoid the temptation to make the case taking only about finding the remedy. At the end of the day, you have to prescribe a remedy, right? And the patient is going to be better only after taking the remedy. But if you just make it for the heck of that, no, it will become boring for you also and for the patient also. It will become a tedious task. It will become a chore. Instead, be present, enjoy the moment. Don't be distracted with doing, you know, WhatsApp online and, personal problems. Keep them aside. Ask your receptionist to not call you for every little thing when you are starting a case. Listen, be present, be available. Um, Understand. Don't try to interpret. There is a huge difference between interpreting a symptom and understanding the symptom. What Prajakta and I have been telling, understand that anxiety, understand that tumor, understand that dullness and depression. That means you're exploring, you're taking every word that patient is saying, you're double confirming. I'm just asking this again to make sure I understand you correctly so that you don't interpret anything. Oh, he is saying this perhaps because he feels that. That's your interpretation. And that's a recipe for failure. It's a recipe for disaster. So inquire, understand, don't assume, don't think, anchor on understanding. It's okay to not know. It's okay to ask the patient 2 times, 3 times, but fully understand. So, your objective of the case taking is not to find the remedy. The objective of case taking is to understand the patient. And once you fully understand the patient, then you can analyze and then you can come to a nice, beautiful remedy. Okay, so fine. What is the most characteristic? Is it a local symptom? Is it a general symptom? Is it a mind symptom? Doesn't matter. From any window, from any direction you can enter, as long as you are finding the most characteristic symptom. And when you see that the same characteristic, the same idea comes in the mental, in the local, in the general, it keeps repeating itself. Then, in the tumor also there is conayam. In the generals also there is conayam. In the dreams also there is idea of conayam. Then you are sure that you have hit the jackpot. So this way, every area you explore, and you don't cherry pick. You know what is cherry picking? It's like जो अच्छा लगा, जो समझा वो लिया, जो नहीं समझा वो छोड़ दिया. You have to take everything, all the information that is available, everything that is characteristic. You don't know what to do with that characteristic is a different thing. That's an altogether different training you need to take. But just because you don't understand something, don't ignore. Yeah. Now the idea of follow-up. Yeah. So follow-up is also a great opportunity. Case taking doesn't end at the first consultation. When the patient comes for follow-ups, there is something that is very beautiful that can occur that time. In the follow-ups, you will need to be open. You need to understand the same principles, put the same principles that I'm talking about for the last 45 minutes. Same principles apply even in follow-ups because that time then you can adjust the sales. Either you will reconfirm that the remedy is still the same, we are still on the same track, we are still on Gelsemium, we are still on Conayum, we are still on Helleborus. You keep confirming that. If not, what is new that has come up? What is new that you need to change? So it's very important that you do that. I'll give you an example. I had this one patient, young girl, PCOS, she would have frequent spells of fainting. Any bad news, anything, severe pain, she would faint. Any emotional trigger, she would faint. Very hysterical and all of that. Was doing very good with pulsatilla. So she was on pulsatilla for a long time. But in one of the follow-ups, I saw that why is the state not going? She's still weeping, she's still crying, she's still so clingy to the mother. Something is not right. What else can come up? So I go detailed, go more deeper. And I got some very, very interesting dreams. Oh my God, so many dreams and so many peculiar dreams and a lot of dreams about snakes and different types of snakes and how the snakes do different things to her, etc. And I realized that this patient needs some remedy which is very similar to pulsatilla, but it's not pulsatilla. And I ended up giving her ranunculus bulbosus, and she did extremely well. Ranunculus bulbosus is in the same family as pulsatilla. It's in the same family Ranunculaceae. but it has certain more peculiarities, especially this idea of snakes and dreams of snakes in such high mark is present in Ranunculus bulbosus, which was missing in Pulsatilla. I gave her Ranunculus bulbosus and she did, wow, what extremely, the next follow-ups were so marvelous that it completed the cure. So you have to be open during the follow-ups so that you can identify these things. Hmm? So the whole idea of taste taking is that whatever is available, you take that information a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper, so that you can better individualize the patient. Prajakta, you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah. So when you take the case, okay, and patient can be at any level. Okay, it can be just the name or very superficial level of name and fact. Okay, so they will just talk about the disease. They will talk about I have diabetes, I have headache, or I have this skin complaint or psoriasis. Okay, and you take the totality of it and then you prescribe on it, and then there is a possibility that maybe in that particular case you got results, like the the very important remedies, like the say there are modalities like aggravated in winter, or this is this is a case of migraine which is better by say pressure, so it is bryonia, or it is the acidity is better by having cold milk, or it is just right sided urinary stones. These can be just the name and fact of the disease, right? And if we treat them like with the name of the disease, or the facts which are available of the disease, we can get for some particular cases the good results. Okay, but they will not sustain, or maybe it is not possible for every case. They will not be consistent results that you can get and this particular disease. So what you can do, you if whatever you get, if you go a little bit deeper about it, okay, this is your complaint, right? This is important. You take the totality, you take the particularities, you take the peculiarities and all the complete the disease, but you also go a little bit deeper in form of the feeling about it, right? This is a one layer deeper than what we are just talking about the disease, the name of the disease, right? So the emotional level where all of these anger, irritability, confusion, fears can also come. And if you try to, get the details of that and kind of, form a totality with it, there will be one level deeper at it, and it is very easy to reach, no? Like how if any patient comes to you and says, oh, I have this migraine as my complaint, so what is the effect of this migraine on you? How does it affect you, right? So we have to qualify the disease, but what is the effect of the disease on you? What kind of person he is, what are the qualities of that person, and we can get that from the level of this feeling. You can just get this by asking, describe this feeling little bit more, to see it what is there at a deeper level. If somebody says, okay, I have this sadness, I have this anger, then qualify this. How does this sadness feel to you? What is the experience of this sadness to you? What is the effect of this sadness on your life, right? Preeti, you want to talk little bit more detail?
So when you try to go a little deeper than the feeling, what is the experience of this sadness for you a little bit more, you will go one level deeper than emotion, one layer deeper than feeling. Then the patient will say, oh, I feel sad. I feel so sad, so sad how a bird would feel when trapped in a cage. So you will go to the level of delusion. You will go to the level of perception. So, what is delusion? What is perception? You can find delusion and perception in the way the kind of relationships we choose, the kind of career we choose. You can find, you can go to the level of delusion by the dreams, the nightmares, you know. Um, I feel as if everybody is laughing at me. That is the biggest delusion of Baraitaka. You can see delusion or perception in whom we identify, what kind of hobbies we like, what kind of biographies we like, what are the characters in Ramayana that we really love, what are the characters in Mahabharata we absolutely don't like. So delusions are basically a deeper layer of emotions that will able to give you a window, a glimpse into a more individualistic pattern of that particular patient. So when you ask fears, when you ask hobbies, when you ask dreams, all of this gives you a good opening, a good, what kind of movies you like, oh, what kind of characters you like, oh, what kind of, fairy tales one prefers, what kind of news events one is sensitive to. All of this gives you an idea of the perception of that particular patient, and that is the window to go to one layer deeper, beyond emotion, beyond delusion, to the level of sensation. So for example, the pain is as if it's like a punch in my abdomen. It's much more deeper. I feel that my mother-in-law, she's such an evil lady. She's so cruel. She's almost like how, I feel almost like how Jews must have felt with Hitler. My perception of that mother-in-law, of her cruelty, her her evilness is as if it's like Hitler. And when you go further, when you explore this anger, this perception, this fear, this dream, this hobby, you understand a little bit more about this patient. Okay, so I'll give you more example. If there is headache, it's a name of the disease. What Prajakta said, it's a left-sided headache. That is the fact of the disease. When somebody irritates me, that time I feel this left-sided headache. That is the emotion of that person, irritable with headache, had headache aggravated irritation. That is concomitant, that is feeling all of that. But then I feel when somebody irritates and I'm having a headache, I feel that person is literally attacking me. That is delusion. That her perception is that this person is not only irritating, but it's irritating to get me a headache, and it's as if this person is attacking me. And then when you ask what is the experience of this attack, then that person may say something like, it's as if an attack with a sharp knife. I feel stabbed, it feels like on my head there is a knife that goes inside, it stab, and my brain is almost torn into pieces. Now, this, you cannot say all this without this energy and hand gesture. Yeah, it's almost like this, it's stabbing me, it's tearing my brain apart. This is so individualistic. This is so unique. And it is going to give you a very, very PQRS of the patient. It's the most characteristic, it's the most deep aspect of the patient. So the idea of case taking is that you get all the information through observation, through LSMC, you complete the picture, you have peripheral vision, you don't have tunnel vision, you do all this, but you then take the patient deeper and deeper. And once you do that, you will come to the exact limit. So this is another example. She's a 16 years old female, severe acne. She came to us before her 10th board exam, and the main complaint was, along with the acne and the PMS and all of that, that she's not able to focus. She's not able to study. The whole day she's daydreaming. She's not able to follow her timetable. She's not able to study, and it's a big board exam that is coming. So then, in one of the case taking, she's talked about movies, that I love to watch movies. What kind of movies? I like to watch fantasies. I like to watch fairies and dragons and Harry Potter. Anything that is not defined by the confines of this world. What is this fantasy? She talks about Greek gods and Egyptian heroes and dragons and Harry Potter and those kind of things. What is the feeling there? It's feeling as if this is thrilling, this is exciting. Reality is boring. Working for this exam, it's boring. Sitting and on a desk job 9 to 5, just sitting and working, that is boring. you know I want to tell you that this is not just wood. That wood and this table is boring. It's fact, it's reality, but it is so dry. I want to explore what is this type of wood. I don't want to meet this reality. She says that the person whose life has no dreams, person who sleeps at night and then in the morning wakes up and says, I never had any dream. That is the most, what do you say, unfortunate person in the whole wide world. Dreams are so exciting. Dreams are so, you know, it's out of the world. It's not real. It's a completely different world. Um, and that's something that's interesting. Otherwise, life is so routine, so boring. Reality, exams, so boring. What I love is dragons and fairy tales and dreams. One of the dreams she said is that she says that I remember the dream that I used to get when I was 4 years old. I used to dream of country places, yellow houses, red houses, colorful houses, and she went on describing this dream about Godzilla and blue light and magenta color and purple color. The whole point I'm driving again is that when I go deeper into the movie or when I go deeper into the dream, I'm coming to a similar idea, a similar feeling, a feeling of excitement, a feeling of colorful thrill, enjoyment, and a theme of boring, boredom, reality, routine, heaviness, which I don't like. And this idea, is of which remedy? It's the idea of cannabis. And she received cannabis and she did extremely well. The whole idea of cannabis is that on one side everything is exciting, joyful. People who take charas, how they feel, all the troubles have gone away. They are floating, all their troubles are light, and everything is colorful, everything is joyful. And the life itself can be so heavy, so burdensome, so not good. It's So in this case, the dreams confirm the same idea. The hobbies confirmed the same idea. In the chief complaint, it gave the same idea. And it was global. It was not only in one area. That same idea was covered in her past, in her present, in her subconscious. And all of that, when you confirm, you explore all areas and you come to the same idea, then it's the most central idea of the case. And when you prescribe like that, you have a bingo. So, in case taking, make an endeavor to go little bit deeper and try and confirm and reconfirm. Even if you've already come to the remedy status agria, confirm if the childhood confirms status agria. Confirm if a crisis situation at office confirms status agria. Confirm if the past history confirms status agria. So explore, confirm, and reconfirm that status agria is the centrality of this patient. This is the level of sensation, which is global. It is not past, present, future limited. Yeah, it is throughout, present throughout. So take your patient deeper each time, and then you will be able to come to the correct unexplored realm. All right, so I'm looking at the time. This is the same case that's going on, yeah? So this colors and this idea, it continued everywhere in our hobbies, in our dreams, everywhere. This was the central idea. And when I put it on the repertory also, abundant ideas, so many ideas, cannot concentrate, vivid dreams, I could still come to cannabis indica. So from all sides, I could confirm cannabis indica. So, in the case, zoom out, have a conversation, take the big picture view, have the bird's eye view, and then zoom in, go very detailed. And then you do this zoom in and zoom out in different areas of the patient. And that's the knack. That's the art of your case taking. Yeah. Project, you want to talk about some other techniques that we would use in case taking?
Yeah. So to confirm and get the details of the patient from all the perspective, we also carry out some other activities like this doodling. Okay, so that doodling helps to reach to your subconscious level immediately. So we ask that if, of course, the case taking is important. We take all the aspect what we just spoke about, but to see it at a different level or at a deeper level if there is anything more present. So this activity really helps. So you just ask a patient to, to doodle something which is not any pattern, not any particular picture or any scenery or anything structured which comes from their mind. You have to reach at a deeper level. So we just ask them, okay, take the pen and let it go wherever it needs to be on the paper, right? And don't use your mind. Don't bring something which you are already doing it, or you want to draw a picture of. Just break those barriers and just doodle something. And with that, just look at it. What is the experience when you look at it? And we have seen in our practice there are very beautiful experiences that come up. And if you try to understand that at a deeper level, it kind of matches with the whole deep case taking that we have taken. So this therapy or this activity is also very helpful. In children cases, it also helps a lot. Then we also work on a lot of meditative processes where you actually kind of, dissociate yourself and be with your own self. Try to connect to that internal and the pattern which we already have. So by taking the patient at a deeper level, dissociating from their conscious level of thoughts and their feelings, even the delusion, going at a deeper level and experiencing those deeper patterns have really helped us. And in this processes, generally they reach to at a at a source level. Then me and Preeti, we've been trained with Dr. Sankaran sir for the wise processes. These help for projecting your own feeling or your deeper pattern into those pictures. So there are some pictures which are shown, and then looking at those pictures, what is your experience? You have to create a story. So there is a whole a process that you need to follow, and Dr. Shankaran sir has written a book over it too. And it's a very beautiful process, and it definitely needs a lot of training, but this has also helped us a lot in our practice.
So the main idea in wise process is the tool is of projection. So you use
Yes.
projection, um, and through projection you kind of find the deeper patterns of that patient. That's the main idea. In
Yes.
meditative processes, you're trying to go inside yourself. In wise processes, you use projection and then try to go deeper. So you use different tools to reach to the same end result. Yeah. So I think with that, that is all we had for today. And I just wanted to see if we had any questions, Dr. Mansi, or if we also have time for any questions. I know we have 5 minutes on the top of the hour. All right, then. Dr. Komal, I see a question is about borax. So again, the borax in the first case, I believe you're asking. So borax in the first case was the only reason I perhaps think you thought of borax was because there was a downward motion aggravation, which I don't think, again, it's a very tunnel vision, right? You know, one characteristic rubric about borax, and you saw that in the patient, but you cannot prescribe only on that one symptom. You have to look at the full picture, make a full totality, and then prescribe. That's what is going to help you. Okay. I see there's a question by Dr. Shanti on how to take case for pets. We treat a lot of pets in our clinic. It's a, it's the same process. You observe the pet. You see what are the peculiarities in that pet. What are the things that in the chief complaint. Explore the chief complaint. Then you explore any behavioral pattern that pet has. Then you speak to the pet owner. They are generally very close. They are able to give you a lot of things. I've beautifully, I think, treated one Prajakta. If you remember that little dog, we treated him with borax actually.
Yes,
And one of
yes.
the peculiar symptom was that loud noise during Diwali when there would be firecrackers. That dog would shiver and go and run in one corner of the room. You go and lock himself in the bathroom, one corner, and just sit there because you'd be so scared of noise, so scared of fast moving vehicles, etc. In fact, the family would have to take the dog away during Diwali because in Bombay it was impossible for the dog to stay because had this severe anxiety and panic. Did very well with borax. So the same principles, like the little child is never going to be able to talk to you. Same way the pets don't talk to you, but there are different ideas that you can explore and examine to uh, give you a nice case. Yeah. I recently had the pleasure to visit some homeopaths in Switzerland, and one of them is a veterinarian. So the entire homeopathic practice is veterinary, so only treats animals with homeopathy. Excellent. Homeopathy is has a lot of great scope in that. Another question is by Dr. Leena. How to treat a case of otitis media? I don't know, Prajakta, you want to answer? Same principles, no? I mean, but again, I don't know if Prajakta, you want to answer this one.
Yeah, of course, with the otitis media, the severity and the intensity of the symptoms are very important because if it is an acute state, you will, get very, very interesting symptoms is what I have experienced. And of course, the taking the totality, understanding the concomitants, modality, and still base your prescription on that personality or understanding that patient would really help. And in these kind of acute cases, maybe the follow-up become very important. Like with this whole understanding, the remedy is given, but how that remedy is effective in every day. Like in our practice, we acute complaint, we almost take follow-ups maybe 2 times in a day also when it is required. Cases like fevers or diarrhea or otitis media, which are acute complaints. So I think the principles remain same, and you have to judge and see the intensity of the symptoms.
Hmm. Then there is another question by Dr. Shiv Kumari. Where can we get the patient forms of adult and child? So you can go to our website www.healingharmony.in. I don't know if somebody, Prajakta, can type on the chat window. And there under forms, you will find this and you can download it, customize it, use it. Yeah, please feel free to do that. Uh, then there is a question analysis. Yeah, what symptoms to take for analysis, right? Or what symptoms to be taken is what is characteristic, what is peculiar, what is repeating, what is there throughout the case. Yeah, you have to only focus on that, not lukewarm symptoms. Characteristic, site striking symptoms, repetitive patterns that are coming again and again. That's what you need to take. And when will you find that? When you do a thorough case examination, when you do a case taking and explore each area, then you will find these characteristic symptoms. So, one characteristic symptoms, downward motion aggravates. That is not enough. That downward motion aggravates needs to meet every aspect of that patient and the remedy. So in the case of Konayam, the tumor is painful, the tumor is on this side of the breast, the tumor is hard, the tumor is aggravated by movement, the tumor is aggravated by descending downstairs. That is one side. But Konayam was not prescribed only on that. It was prescribed because of the dreams that were violent, because there was sudden violent symptoms in that patient, because that patient had other ideas of subclass 6 and superclass 6. And when everything matched, the concept, the system, the symptom, the peculiarity, then Konayam was prescribed, then it acted. Yeah, so you have to take a look at the whole picture. How can I control my mind from floating the remedies during life space investigation? If any remedies come to you, just write it down in the corner of your case paper. Whether you're doing it online or like you're writing down the case on your computer or writing down on a pen and paper. Just write down and then forget about that remedy. Focus on completing the case, focus on completing the picture. That is something that is going to help you. Okay. So I think we can pause here, unless Dr. Mansi, there's anything else that you wanted to discuss or share.